Welcome to the OFX podcast. I'm Dave Claxton. Along with me, as always, is my pint-sized partner in pointlessness, Bethany McChesney. And Lanny's back.
Yeah, it's been a
Well,
minute. Was it
well,
like pandemic? Was that when I was on here last?
Yeah, I don't know, but I think Beth was about to yell at me
um,
already.
I was like, well, wait a minute. We have had Lanny on before.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Oh,
that's what I'm saying.
okay.
Like it was I
it's
think it was like
probably
2020 or 2021.
yeah. It was early on when we needed some star power. Now we don't need star power because we just don't care anymore.
Now
Funny.
we apparently talk about pointless things.
We do.
No.
All right. So, people listening, we started before we started, and I was saying that we've been watching. Beth and I were talking before Lanny got on that. We're just obsessed with watching the Olympics and stuff right now. And I said I will watch anything except I honestly said I do not watch the figure skating because I find it very frustrating with the judging. I think the athletes are some of the most amazing people in the world. Their skating is unbelievable. The things they do are super cool. I didn't say that part to Beth, but that is how I feel. Um, but yeah, I get frustrated anytime artistic interpretation and how your outfit looks plays into your score. And now Lanny and Beth are going to tell me why I'm an idiot.
So, so for anyone listening who doesn't know, so Lanni Marchant, my good friend from back in the day, Lanny actually, so she is an Olympian 2016 in the 10,000 marathon. She started her athletic endeavors in figure skating, which is why I felt like she was the perfect person to bring on when we talk about these things because I don't understand this very well, and Dave clearly doesn't understand this very well. So we needed some insight from someone who's both an Olympian and has a background in figure skating.
Figure
And
skating was not on the list of topics, by the way.
well, no, figure skating is one of the things,
Okay,
but
okay.
um, it just there's a lot of controversy in the Olympics. There always is. That's just how it is with the Olympics because there's so much politics that comes around the Olympics, and I think it's worthwhile talking about it. And there has been a lot of controversy with figure skating, and we also know that pivoting now after the Olympics, they are moving to a different type of judging style. So the controversy this year at the Olympics again is judging calls.
But I'm an idiot.
Now it has always been, but all I'm saying is I think that there's not as much um people can't make as dramatic of decisions as they want because there are still parameters within which they can make their judging calls. They don't just throw out random numbers. So some of the controversy again was with I guess the biggest one was with a French couple and an American couple, and the French judges scored the French team extraordinarily high and the American team low. And with the judging system, also the outliers get thrown out, so the highest and the lowest get thrown out, and then you have the averages. But it did seem to bump up the French team regardless, over an American team that was favored to win. And there was then a protest that was put in after, and I think change.org got involved. And so again, it kind of stirs up the conversation about is it too subjective in a judge sport?
Yeah, it's nothing new, right? So the way it's scored now is new comparative to when I was still competing in skating. Because of this same controversy, that's why we ended up having two gold medals at I think was it Lake Placid or one of those Winter Olympics with our Canadian pair team.
Mhm.
Because there's these like backdoor deals going on judges agreeing to score certain skaters at from different countries certain ways. Ironically enough, I think it was the French judges back then too.
It was
So we
actually the
might have a
Russian
problem.
judges.
Pardon?
I think it was Russia, actually.
Back then, I feel like France was involved too, but I could be wrong. But it was what I think it was to elevate a Russian team back then.
Okay.
But
That's what I
I
remember was there was pressure to score a Russian team higher than Canada.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I think at the center of it was like some French judge. Anyways, so that's why they now have the system where the highest score and the lowest score get kicked out. But like it takes like I'm not even good at math, and it would take very simple ways to figure out how to just be in that middle, get a group of us together, vote in the middle block. You're not going to have an outlier score, and you're going to elevate a team up. And so the controversy now is exactly that. Like, how do you get fans to stay following the sport when a even a single skater, but a pair skater or a dance team can go out there and kill it, and then they don't get this, it's not reflected in the scores. But like Bethany, I think I remember when you were way younger, you did gymnastics for a hot minute.
Hmm.
And that's what this is. Like, and
Mm.
there's that whole movie Stick It about like sticking
A
it to the
great
judges in
movie.
gymnastics. I love that movie. The cinematography in that movie's sick.
It was one of my daughter's
But
favorite movies as a kid, and I think I still have it on my phone.
yeah, it's one of the ones that like when I travel, it's always on my laptop in case like there's no Wi-Fi on a plane. Yeah, right. But the whole premise of that movie is exactly this. And so in figure skating, you have the technical merit, you have the artistic merit, and what's happening is they're able to now what's always happened is you can't really mess around with the numbers too much on the technical score. So
Mm.
you start messing around with it a lot on the artistic score. Does your hair and makeup match the dress? Does your dress match the music? Did you interpret the music a certain way? And like I've always talked about this, a big reason why I got out of figure skating was I liked that when I would run in a race, I crossed that finish line and I knew where I finished. I knew if I was first, second, or third. I didn't have to wait for if a judge liked my hair, or even sometimes you had to be so careful, even in the locker rooms or around the arena, because if a judge saw you just being a kid and, playing around and you weren't prim and proper, it could reflect your score on the ice. So I see why what you're saying, Dave, why it's frustrating. Um,
This
but
is
I also
sounding
think
less like Dave's an idiot and more like Dave's right.
well, it's interesting to see that it's still a conversation. They have tried to make it better, but so long as it's a judged sport, you're gonna have, and we're gonna get into that later when we talk about dual moguls, like there's always an element of the subjective. And it's just a matter of what weight you want to put on it, really.
Hmm.
I just remember as a kid, and I mean, I can't specify what Olympics it was or whatever, but I just remember, it's Canada always watches the figure skating. We always get deep into it. We're so big into it. And then there's always this drama somewhere or the other. And I remember like you guys were saying with the Russian and France or whatever it is. And it is still, even with the throwing the one out, it's still easy to make those backdoor deals. Say I'm Russia, Bethany's France, and I say, hey Beth, I'm going to give your team an outlandishly high score. Mine will get thrown out, and then yours will apply to them,
Yeah.
right?
And I think that's what happened in the
Yeah,
doubles.
yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
sure it happens all the time. Anytime there's judged political whatever, you're going to see that backdoor shady shit.
Hmm.
Um, and I imagine like I have no idea how you stop it by the sheer design of the sport.
Hmm.
Like I don't know. I'm I'm usually pretty good with some form of a solution, but I really don't have anything.
Well, I saw that they're using AI to try and measure out stuff. Like you can just see the technique of the jump, how far the distance went, but that's not going to remove the subjective.
No,
It's not going to
that's the part they're
remove,
already pretty good at.
yeah, like because like you start with a starting score. So it's so different from when I skated. But yeah, now you start with a starting value and your program has that value. So if you plan to do four quads and a triple and blah blah blah, if you just hit that, you hit it's more like gymnastics, you hit your score value. We
Hmm.
saw with that poor American kid, Ilya, whatever, who was ranked first, the quad king who
Yeah.
ended up eighth and the pressure of that. But like what happens then is you get this starting rank. And then let's say you decide you're skating into that first jump and you're just not feeling it. So you change a quad to a triple. Well, now you've been docked from what your starting score was. You can still get scores for the jumps that you do, but as soon as you start moving things around in your program, you're losing points. And you could just see he was doing mental math and he was bleeding points throughout that skate, unfortunately. And we can talk about the pressures put on a 21-year-old kid at these big game situations. But the whole point of that starting score was to have a better objective way of measuring it. And in the short program, technical score outranks the free program, the artistic merit comes in more. And so I think maybe if we're going to get AI in there measuring the objective part of it, then I think part of it must just needs to be like you don't let the artistic merit ever become the tiebreaker. I think that might be where we shift it because in the long program or the freestyle program, I forget what language gets used now, you still the artistic merit gets more heavily weighted. And that's where you can kind of ignore the fact that somebody just attempted three quads and you're going to reward them for like their outfit looks really pretty.
What if we had AI score the technical and then we had completely uninformed people like me score the artistic part? Because then it'll be just like that was fucking cool. And then that works, right? Because we're not as subjective to what real art is. It's more just like that looked cool. I like that. Then everybody would be doing double backflips though. So
Right?
Which
Yeah. Well,
have only been allowed back into the Olympics this year.
yeah, if you want to go all the way through, like how just like that Serena Bonelli used to deal with like very obvious racism, and
Hmm.
then also would throw a backflip in there just because she knew she wasn't going to get the points that she earned rightfully. So then she'd be like, "All right, well, dock me more," and she'd throw a backflip in, and she'd landed on one leg, which is like damn near impossible.
Yeah.
But yeah, now they're allowed back in, and then Quad King was the one doing them, but. Yeah, it's an interesting sport because there's such athleticism involved and like even on the technical side, like if you're gonna do those bigger jumps, there's skaters that you can watch and they just skate so fast and so powerful into the jump. But is that a technical merit or is that artistic? Because they look better skating faster, the jumps look bigger, they look cleaner, they look nicer. But if I skate a clean program and land on my quads, but I skate slow, like I don't know. Like it kind of gets like, can you do the trick or can you do the trick better than the other person? Like where is objective ending and subjective coming in? If we both do double axles, but mine looks prettier, is that a technical score or a artistic score? It's hard.
So that's where I'm very curious how bringing in AI is going to pan out because AI is going to look extremely objectively and it's going to be math and numbers. And so after these Olympics, it's called the ISU Vision for 2030. So they're going to start implementing AI scoring for individual skating. So they're not yet there with the doubles because it is so much more artistic, but for the individuals they're going to bring in AI. Um and I don't know how this is going to work exactly because again, everything is going to be so numerical then. And are we just going to create a bunch of like robotic type skating where then, the because there is such a beauty to the sport that could be taken out if we're just trying to hit metrics.
It
That
kind of already is. Like if you look, they spend so much more time now skating around and setting up jumps. Like there's not the same edge worker turns and things like that. And my understanding with the AI is it's going to measure like jump height, jump distance. So to get those, you're going to have to skate faster. To skate faster, you're not going to necessarily like do the little like swirly movements, you know. The artistic merit, I would say, as someone who grew up in the sport, the artistic merit is already taken a dock or a hit because you have to set up these quads, these triples and these quads. Like you can't really be doing a ton of crazy footwork into them. You see them get creative and do like long edges or things like that. But yeah, like how to your like to exact point, if you're going to use AI and I do a back spiral and hold that, which is a move. So when you're on one leg and your other leg's held out behind you. If I do a back spiral long and hold it and then put my toe pick in and do a triple toe out of it, like versus someone who just skates in, does a three turn, boom, triple toe. Mine's gonna be more artistically pretty to look at, but their triple toe is gonna have more speed and power and a bigger landing. So, but maybe it is a sport that does just need to be focused more on the technical and the artistic doesn't, like I said, the artistic can be scored, but not scored as heavily as it is, especially in the long program.
then there's the other option is just leave it as it is and deal with what we've been dealing with forever and just accept that
Get
that's
some
part of the
people that
sport.
have some morals, get some judges that are actually have morals. But I don't know, working as in the illegal field, I deal with some judges that have some questionable morals, anyways. You can see their bias come right through sometimes. So I think you're dealing with the element of like humanity that's in there, and it's hard to cut that out.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's going to continue to be probably one of the most popular things to watch from the Olympics, like from the Winter Olympics. It always will be. It's just, and I think no matter what happens, there's going to be drama. There will always be drama.
Oh yeah.
It is
Mhm.
what it is. I think that just is inherent in any judge sport that comes to some form of, I don't want to say opinion, but the way the only thing that I see rarely see like a judge sport that rarely has controversy, and maybe I just miss it because I don't watch it enough, would be diving. And like I rarely ever hear about diving controversies, and yet it is a judge sport.
Yeah, because it's more they're just doing tricks,
Yeah.
really. Like
Yeah.
they might get a little artistic on how they hold on the handstand
But
before
not
they
much.
fall into the water. But yeah, you're dealing with like their splash score, like how they
Yeah.
like rank, like if they're clean going into the water. Artistic swimming obviously deals a lot with technical and artistic value. Um,
My God.
Diving more so the controversy there is like how close they get up to everybody's friggin' gooch when they're taking the video camera when they're about to dive. Those close-up shots.
I think that's a great job to say, what do you do? Well, I'm a gooch cameraman. That's
Yeah,
what they
right? Like, man, like you can tell they're friggin' body hair removal programs. But like artistic swimming is similar to skating, gymnastics is similar to skating. Um, and there's an aesthetic that goes into that and feeds into the eating disorders, feeds into all of it. So I don't know, maybe we should look at it more like diving is like and same thing. I think they have a starting score
Mhm.
and it's up to them to maintain that score or better it, but they're basically being measured against that and docked out. It's like when
Yeah,
a
it's like
teacher gives you 100, you start with 100 and how you finish the course
yeah.
is totally on you. You start with a perfect score. It's yours to lose.
Yeah. It was like when I today I was watching women's freestyle big air skiing, and there's no real artistic component. Like it doesn't, they're all wearing the same baggy skiing outfit. And, it doesn't matter what the hair looks like because they're wearing a helmet, and they have their trick or their skill that they're performing. And then it's just a matter of like all the nuances around that skill itself, but it really doesn't matter what they look like.
No.
So,
Could you imagine if running had like an artistic merit or like high rocks had an artistic merit? Like we had to, it's not how fast I cross the finish line, it's how pretty I look doing it.
oh man, I feel like
I
High
think,
Rocks already is a little
oh,
bit.
yeah, a lot of high rocks people might be okay with that. It's about the pose on the finish line that comes into your score. If you get a good pose, you deduct 7 minutes off your score.
You
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or maybe as
I
you go
can
into the wall
imagine.
balls, they take away like 10 wall balls for like a good pose and then all that.
yeah. No,
A hot take about the skiing, Beth. I miss the 90s. The
I mean,
outfit for skiing in the 90s were absolutely fantastic, and they're very boring now.
yeah.
oh, I loved them right now.
Oh, but in the 90s, it was like neon and everything, and it was just crazy.
Oh, I saw what the women were skiing in, and it was like the big baggy again. I mean, it
Yeah.
might not be neon, but I was like, I want those pants. They looked awesome.
I mean, was it like ski dancing I keep seeing videos of like that
Oh,
was a thing back in
I
the
think it was
80s?
Calgary. Calgary had that. It was like
Yeah.
figure
I
skating on
mean, if we're
skis.
I guess yeah, if you're gonna put artistic merit in some sports, let's go ahead and put it in all and let's let's see what that looks like.
See what happens. Like
I don't
skate.
know. I don't think I'm very artistic or cute at the end of a marathon. I don't think there's anything pretty that, that goes on there.
No, wouldn't be me either.
No. Do you want to move on to Mikkel?
Yeah, so we
Yeah.
have Canada has picked up two gold medals as at the end of today. One of them is Mikhail Kingsbury. So Lanny and I met him a couple of years back after so Mikhail's been in four Olympic Games. His first one was when he was 16 years old. He's won five medals at the Olympics, two golds, some silvers. He is claimed to be one of the best mogul skiers of all time. And we can attest to he's one of the nicest people too, and so humble. And I would say rather unassuming for someone who is the best in the world at his sport. And even like when I met him, I would never have thought like he was so like world renowned at what he does. He was just so humble and kind and meek and um I did get to hold his Olympic medal, which was kind of a weird feeling. I was like, I don't know if this is bad luck, not like I'm ever going to get one, but it was very heavy and it was in this special case and it was just kind of a cool experience. So I've always kind of rooted for him. And I mean, Lanny will probably feel the same, but this was his last Olympic Games. He has said he's 33 years old. He's a dad now, and his son was there with him on the podium, and he came away from these Olympic Games with two more medals and a gold in a new event, which was really fun to watch. The moguls dueling, which added a little bit of excitement to it. So,
I love any
Yeah.
time they do the side by side. That just
mhm.
any head to head contest just is so much better. The moguls, though, again, I've always found this one a little confusing. This is truly from a realm of ignorance, but of the, it's not necessarily how fast you get down, but that plays part in it.
hmm Yeah,
And
there's an artist, there's a judging
yeah, yeah.
score to it. When you watched the today, like, so it was awesome that he came back with gold because I know the gold evaded him or it was elusive to him in the single moguls, and he's been dealing with a pretty bad adductor injury for the past year. So, like, for him to get on the podium twice but get that gold and in the inaugural dual mogul event is really cool. But yeah, if you watch it, when you watch the like bronze medal race they talk about, I think there was an Australian and maybe a Japanese
I think it was a
athlete.
Japanese one, yeah.
They talk about how like they come through, they both had the same, they did the t same 10 kind of twirly jump off the ski lift. And they say, well, that's a wash because they hit the same technical merit or same style of a jump. But then one of them came down further, and this is in the bronze medal race. One of them came down the hill, his jump landed him further. So we're talking about distance again. But then the other skier closed up on him and was able to, and they commentary said, well, the judges will look at that, look at like that, how quickly he chased him down in the race. And then ultimately, I think the guy that did the chasing down ends up with bronze. So they were commentating, discussing
Mhm.
this like judged aspect of it. And then in Mikel's race, it didn't actually matter because the other athlete like was going too fast, lost control, and like didn't even make it through the second jump, ended up like bailing. So um so yeah, you had two different, very different races, and one was obviously the bronze medal race, one was for gold or silver, and we came out on top as Canadians. But again, like had that other athlete, had the silver medal athlete not missed that jump, what what would it have been at the bottom? We would have been
Yeah.
sitting there waiting for the judges to determine like a winner. It was very clear by how the panned out. But yeah, you're dealing with a weird kind of scored element that's outside of just the pure performance and who it's not an actual race of who crosses the line
No.
first. It matters, but it's not the only thing that matters.
Yeah, and it kind of makes me remember too, like, isn't that what we do as Canada? Every time there's like this new version of a sport, we medal at that. Like that
Yeah,
we
we're
we
good
get
at
the new
it.
stuff and then we drop off. That's kind of our thing. It's our shtick. Um,
Like people, um, like we're really good at adapting.
yeah,
But
it's
then
like
when people figure it out, they like study Canadians. Like they,
early adapters. We're good at the early
yeah,
adapt.
like they say
Well,
countries used to study how Canada played hockey.
Yeah.
And then when they figured it out, now we're like, oh shit.
Well, we're the ones that made skeleton a one handle because I used to run holding
Yep.
the skeleton with both hands. It was the Canadian team that switched it up, I believe, and did like changed the way that you do skeleton. That was us. Because there was like think if I recall, we weren't there was no way there was like we weren't going to beat whatever team, maybe it was the US, like we just weren't going to get it done. And the coach was like went to the team and was like, go figure this out, like we need an edge here.
Mm.
And they went for a few hours, came back after practice, and they're like, we figured this one out, and it was turned out to be a faster way to push and give them that little bit of an edge, and now everybody's adopted that method.
I'm not sure that's great coaching. Hey team, go figure it out.
Oh yeah,
Like,
like
that's your job, dude.
No, but actually at that point
Yeah.
I'd say it's not. Like you're the athletes going head first down on that sled. Like we've figured out every other advantage we can. And like I'm pretty sure that's how it went. I'd have to fact check it, but I'm pretty certain um I don't know if we were against the Americans, but I know like it was a like tight competition and it was like we need an edge here. We need a win. And so it was the Canadians that found within the realms of play, keeping it
Yep.
legal,
Yeah.
unlike curling, maybe, keeping it legal. We found a new way, and that's now everybody does skeleton that way.
Well, and when
I'm
these
surprised how
races
much I know about this stuff. Why do I know all this? I don't
Because
know.
it's Olympics. That's what.
I know I'm Canadian. I've been handling a lot of winter sport arbitrations for team selection. So I've had to learn a lot about bobsled and skeleton, both the Canadian and the American side this year. So I think
Oh
it's like
yeah, they had a
reinvigorated
big. They
me.
had a big. Was it on the bobsled that had the big issue where U.S. accused Canada of pulling
Oh,
people
that's
out?
skeleton. Yeah.
Was
So
it
that
skeleton?
was
Sorry, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that was skeleton where, and that like, again, like going into like politics or tactics, like it's w within the rules, you can pull your team from racing. You can decide, and but then that affects the scores of the points available to the other competitors. Like, it- as a Canadian, it's kind of hard because like we're not that's I don't like to think that we're cutthroat or we'd ever do anything dirty. And like what was done was within the realm of the rules, but was it within the realm of the like spirit of sport? That gets questionable and like everything that's going on with that one. But yeah, so I think maybe that's why I know more about it this year as I've been paying more attention because I've been advocating for some of these athletes through the arbitration process. But
And
I've
I think
never paid attention to Winter Olympics this much.
that is one of the fascinating things too about the Olympics. And again, I say this all the time, but the Olympics is so political. And who's at the Olympics is not necessarily who's the best in that sport at that time. There's such a political nature to who's competing. And so with the skeleton situation again, Canadians pulled out of an event where an American needed a certain amount of people at that event in order to get the amount of points that they needed in order to be on the Olympic team. So the Canadians pulling out meant that this American then wouldn't have the amount of points because there wasn't the right amount of people at an event they were competing at. It has nothing to do with how good they are. Um,
What
and
people
so
forget about that though
mhm.
is the only reason why that American athlete was down on the lower circuit trying to qualify is because her own federation didn't select her to the national team to put her on the World Cup circuit where she would have been getting better points anyways. So like should Canada pull its athletes out? Maybe not. Within the rules, they're allowed to, and it's so close to the Olympics. And as we saw with Lindsey Vonn, like you don't necessarily want to compete right up to the games. So the
Mhm.
Canadian coach, for whatever reasons, good or bad, pulled the athletes out, gave less numbers, less athletes in that event. So then it's Katie Ulander. She's just, one of the most decorated American skeleton athletes. Doesn't get the points she needs at that event, but to your point, Bethany, are the best athletes that are competing? Well, arguably not, because she appealed and lost her federation's national team selection to put her on the World Cup circuit. And so had she been on World Cup circuit, it wouldn't have mattered what happened at that lower circuit event. So going back into the politics of it, the coaches in the national federation had already determined that they didn't think she was going to be good enough to go. And so then she battled it out and came that close to making it. And then yeah, she Canada didn't keep their athletes competing. But I could go on forever about the politics of it and
You
federations getting in the way
you
of
would think
athletes competing.
you would think in a sport that is so, again, not judged. It's pure time. It is only time. It's all it's about. That it would be far more black and white and less political. It's literally should be, okay, you're fastest, you fucking go.
But it's
Yeah.
really not that way. It all
No,
has,
but it
I
should.
find a lot of it has to do with points based on where you race and what you've raced.
Well, and
So,
there's all the criteria have a subjective, going back to the subjective. A bobsled or skeleton criteria has discretionary subjective metrics put in the published criteria. So it's not, it's it from the get. You have people putting their fingertip on the scale, determining which athletes go, and if you go World Cup, those events are worth more points than if you go the North American circuit or the European circuit, which are worth less points. You'll see other countries, they allow their athletes to jockey between them. And so if they know like the weather's going to be bad at a World Cup event, but they'll all dump down and go to a lower circuit event where they might not get as many points, but it'll be a safer run. They'll still get decent points. They can win there and get a fair amount of points versus finishing 10th at a World Cup event where they're not going to get any points. Like you see this jockeying happen, but then if you have the powers that be making the decisions of, we don't want you on World Cup, or we're Canada for our men's bobsled didn't allow certain athletes to drop down where they could get better points. And then those athletes don't make the team. And they say, well, you weren't good enough to make the team. And the athlete's going, well, if you had let me go down on the lower circuit, I would have gotten more points and I would have made the team. And it's
Mhm.
like, now we all sit there at home watching and be like, man, these guys are super fast. They're going like head first down this mountain. They must be the best in the world. And you're like, well, actually, three of them are sitting at home because someone
Mhm.
else decided which qualifying races they should go through or go to.
Mhm.
I think
And
would love a
sorry,
national qualifier. Just one race, all chips in, best people go.
It's
it's not really like that.
No, I
No, the US track and field trials, I'd say, is the closest thing we have to that, where but they have the depth to do it, especially in track and field, right? Like, for the Paris Olympics, we saw the defending Olympic gold medalist fall at the US trials, so she doesn't get to go. She didn't get to go, but I
Mhm.
think they still ended up winning a medal because even their like fourth or fifth girl is medal caliber. They have the depth. They can literally say, show up on the day, be top three with standard, and you're on the team. I don't care that you're the medalist from last time. If you face plant, you face plant, tough titty, you're not going. But we don't, these other events, especially Winter Olympics, like nobody competes in them really. Like you don't have the depth that you're going to, like the USA bobsled women only really have three brakemen and three pilots that are going to be competitive. Well, the argument with the brakeman is different. That's the push athlete in the back. There was more depth there. And so that's why there was a lot of appeals on that one. But we don't really have a national like way of doing it, Dave, for winter sports where you just say, show up on this day and get it done. It's all this chasing of points I don't know luge. I haven't heard much about luge, but I know skeleton and bobsleigh. Um, it's very political
it
and
would be hard
very
to think Luke
polarizing.
would be any different.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just don't hear about it as much. Like
Yeah.
I don't know much about luge. I guess it hasn't come across my desk much, I guess.
Yeah.
Mm.
Since we're talking sledding and politics, people on the helmet, is it a memorial helmet or is it a political statement?
So technically, I think I was texting with you, Bethany. The rule is likeness. So like it's weird that they were going the political route or anything like that, but you're not supposed to have the likeness of anybody on your uniform. But we already see that that's been other countries were allowing it. Like the Russian athletes were allowed to do certain things. So it wasn't the rule, like I was just confused on what the rules they cited versus other rules that would have been more neutral to cite, I guess, because there is already a likeness rule. Like I can't compete at the Olympics with with Bethany on my uniform, like even if there be, there's no war involved, there's nothing. She's just one of my best friend from high school. And I just want to like share the journey with her. I wouldn't be allowed to. And that's more dealing with likeness. I got in trouble at Pan Am Games because we had lost a Canadian sprinter. He had drowned at a training camp. And at Pan Am Games, I put his initials on my hands when I was waving on the podium. They threatened to take my Pan Am game medal away from me, but there was like nothing, there was no rule that I'd really violated. They were just being like annoying with that. So there are the politics rule that they cited, I get, but what he was doing wasn't necessarily political. And if you're going to say it was, then I believe it was the Russian athletes that also had one of the Russian athletes had something on their uniform. So like I'm a big person like that the scales of justice be equal. So like if you're going to allow it there, the pendulum has to swing and allow it for the Ukrainian athlete.
I did saw one of I think it was a Ukrainian luge athlete. After they finished the run, she waved her hand and had like something written on her hand about it,
It
about
was like I race for, and it had the name of
yeah,
someone.
Yeah.
something like that. And yeah, so
That was my argument with mine because Sarah Wells had believe on her hands. And because mine referenced an athlete that had passed, nothing political, he drowned unfortunately at one of the training camps that year. I was getting in trouble for mine but she didn't get in trouble for hers. And like lawyer Lanny kicked in, and I was like, absolutely not. Like you cannot say it was okay for her and not okay for me. Like also take my medal. See how happy Canadians will be that you take my medal for me.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
good luck. But
Well,
yeah, like so what she did, what that luge athlete did, I believe they didn't sanction her. It was still allowable.
I
Um,
didn't hear about any sanctions, no.
yeah, but it's just hard. Like, and that's part of it as being one of these athletes at these major games is you sign away so much, but also you sign away your likeness. Like they can use your likeness anywhere you want, but you're limited on what you can have on your body supporting things that matter to you, or even just wanting to like memorialize friends, family, loved ones, lost ones.
I, I mean, I think it's hypocritical, quite frankly, that you can't do something like that on your helmet, which is it's not an offensive political statement. It's not
No.
it literally is a memorial statement as much as anything. So you can't do that, but then immediately in the post-race interview, you can say whatever political crap you want.
Yeah,
I'm like,
but
it
it's
makes no
meant
sense.
like you're not allowed to take a knee. You're not allowed to put your fist up. When you look at what these are, like they're, about they're tied to bigger movements. And so that's like they don't want to allow it's already the disenfranchised or the people whose rights have been infringed upon that are getting told they're not allowed to do anything. And like the loudmouths that are going to play by the rules, but then say whatever they want at the finish line are the ones that are already kind of in that protected class
Mm.
as is. Like if you want to look at like racial disparity, sex disparity, everything, going on, everything that's gone on and still going on with Russia and Ukraine, like I always say like the powers that be, but it's because it's the powers that have the power and they're the ones that get to dictate kind of all of it.
I guess I do understand a little bit putting some boundaries around it because I think at something like the Olympics, where it is the biggest stage that a lot of these athletes ever come on, it's so global. And for a sport like luge and skeleton, and this is the one time in 4 years that people watch them
Yeah.
globally. So if there's going to be a political statement made, this is it. So for them, I do see the IOC making boundaries around making political statements because it would be the perfect opportunity for them. So I think in order for it to not get out of hand, I do understand a little bit of it from that perspective. So yeah, I don't know. I think I just don't know where again you would draw the line.
Yeah, like I was just gonna say, like, then what's a political statement is having hit the if he had not done their faces, because that's the likeness rule I was talking about, if he had just written their names. Or what if it was, he decided to use some kind of symbol that represented each individual athlete? Like where is it? Like
Right.
what's like kind of like the wink or who was the star that would like touch her nose or pull on her ear and that was a way to like say hi to her family? Like where where's that statement? Like what counts? And like I said, there was different rules. Like I thought it was interesting that they went the political rule route with him when I think a more neutral way of saying no would have been you're not allowed to have the likeness of people on
Mhm.
your helmet.
It's
That would have been a
it's got to be
neutral
just a
way.
precedent set before where they allowed it before, and they didn't want to give them that armor or that ammunition to come back and say, "Well, you did this before," and then instead
Yeah,
play that kind of random, difficult to define political card, and
yeah.
the
Ambiguity. Yeah.
ambiguity of it plays to their hand, and that's why the rule is what it is because then they can kind of just go like, okay, we can,
Manipulate it. It's like I don't know what pornography is, but I know it when I see it. Like that's
yeah,
a famous like judicial quote.
yeah,
Yeah, like I don't know what's political until I decide that it is.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So I mean, I know for a fact that they word rules and rule books that way specifically in order to make it so that you can, you know, have a trump card basically, you know,
Yeah. Good word.
yeah.
Ew.
Bethany, that was a political statement.
That's fine.
I'm gonna take your
Let's
medal
not get
away,
into that.
your
Yeah.
helmet. Okay, here's one. Political. And you guys didn't have this on your list, Bethany. This was a different one. And this is something Beth and I have danced around a few times.
Oh no.
Yeah. So, no?
No, I don't know what you're gonna say.
Oh, okay. So, for the first time ever, to my understanding, a trans male athlete competed in the female division at the Olympics. I believe it
Oh, I
was
haven't
in
heard about
some
this.
form of skiing.
In
So,
skiing?
yeah, I believe so. So it was born female, transitioning to male, so lives life as a man, but competed
Oh,
in female division.
Wait, so born female,
Correct?
transitioned to man. I'm
Correct.
learning to be very careful with the language that assigned sex is male, female,
Gender is
and
man, woman.
gender is man, woman.
Yeah.
And I think sport blends them because some sports call it the men's event and some
Yes.
sports call it the female event.
And
So
that might even just be the way we address it or the media addresses it, not
yeah.
necessarily what's written in
So if
the.
I'm understanding, it was born female,
Yep.
transitioned to man,
Yes.
but competed in the women's
Yeah.
division.
Yes.
in what in skiing of what kind?
I can't remember. I could look it up real quick. But
But so
Okay,
there would
look
have
it up.
been hormonal replacement and stuff to give them testosterone,
I'm assuming that there must
etc.
not have been because obviously
They
that would
must
show up
have
through
had
To
to
get
bring
testing.
their level
tested.
back down.
Yeah.
They must have to bring their level back down.
Yeah.
But then the argument becomes what benefit did they get from
While
any
they
hormonal while they were on it? Oh, it's a tough one. It's hard. Like I know as an athlete, as a human, and as an attorney, I can talk about it from three different parts of my brain. Um, but yeah, it's very interesting. And I think like you have to look at it from like sports, a privilege, not a right.
Mhm.
And so
yeah.
um, however you live your life and decisions that get made there, I think and I'm not saying this to say I agree with any kind of restriction. I don't know where I stand on allowing or disallowing athletes into certain things based off of their lifestyle decisions or their human autonomy. I don't have an opinion on that, but I think there is room for discussion or argument on sport is a privilege, not a right. And so if there are going to be any limitations or restrictions or requirements, I think it's a fair space to do it. Cause like we put like driving's a privilege, not a right. And if you can't drive impaired, but if you need eyeglasses, we make sure you wear them. You have to get your eyes tested. Like there's certain parameters. You can't drive until you're 16. Like there's other privileges that we have restrictions on. And if you look at sport as a privilege, not a right, you have the right to be active. You have the right to go outside and run. You have the right to go grab a toboggan and slide down a hill. But even then, they put restrictions on it. Like you can't be at the hill after certain times. Like, so it's such a murky thing. And I think people get very emotionally involved in it before they even like just accept, and I'm not saying you have to accept my premise, but I start from sports a privilege, not a right. And from there, we can have a discussion on what that looks like.
So my basic take, and I don't care if anybody gets pissed at me, that's cool. My basic take on this is as long as, and it was skiing. I took a quick look, Swedish skier, um,
What
Lund,
skiing event though? Like are we talking cross
Lundholm.
country skiing?
No, I think it was downhill, or it might even be moguls. I don't know. That's why I tried to look through the article real
Oh,
quick.
okay.
I didn't want
Yeah.
to. So, but my quick take on it, honestly, is if, and again, I'm struggling with the wording here because if he has not received hormone therapy, testosterone,
Ever. Ever.
ever. So basically, if he can go in and he can pass all of the drug testing and whatnot, and then compete in the female division, I'm actually okay with that.
It says
For
here, he as a trans man who does not undergo hormone treatment.
there, yeah. Now, the reason I'm okay with it is because what I did when I did a little research is it said that he does not have the option to compete in the men's division because right now the Olympics does not allow that as per the rules. So at first, when I first heard the story, I thought that's a little hypocritical
Mhm.
because you're fighting for your right to be a man, but
But
you're going to
but they
compete.
wouldn't qualify.
No, no,
They,
that's
they wouldn't
Wouldn't
qualify.
matter.
not even close. Not even close.
Mm.
But, but I'm just saying that, and trust me, I've gotten a couple of discussions online of this, and that was one of the things brought up. Well, they weren't allowed to compete in the men's division, and I had to point out that they were so far behind the Swedish male skiers that they wouldn't have even been in the story. But
Right.
anyway, it is a bit of a different take because normally the stuff that gets the press is when a trans woman wants to compete in the women's division, which
Yeah.
is obviously a completely different scenario. So that this one was interesting, and I was curious, if you guys heard about it or your take on it or whatever. But
No, I hadn't followed that, but like and I don't know the rule by which that obviously like he wouldn't have qualified on the
no,
men's division anyways.
no.
Um,
But even if
but
he
let's say
was good enough, he would not be
yeah,
permitted to do it.
he wouldn't be permitted. And I think that if that's the rule there, then again, the pendulum needs to swing back the other way. And a trans woman, like born
Mhm.
male, transitioned to woman, then I think should have to compete in the men's division as well. Just,
I
I
would
haven't
agree,
read the rule
and
for
that's
why,
why that rule's there.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I haven't read the language of the rule, so I'd be curious to actually pull it up and read it.
yeah,
But I just keeping it fair across the line,
yeah.
that
And
that would be,
that's why the rule is there before, because before men's division was actually considered an open division,
yeah.
right? And it's, for example, you, Beth, or you, Lanny, could, if you were fast enough, could jump into the men's division. That that is no
That's
longer
just funny to think of.
that's
Yeah.
no longer the case now. So even if
No.
you're fast enough, you can't.
Nor
And
why would
Because
you?
sport is a privilege and we're allowed to create these rules. You're
yes,
allowed to
yeah,
create
yeah. And I
limitations,
quite
restrictions.
frankly am fine with these rules. I like the rules, but it I think it is almost a case of where the people who were fighting to have these rules have actually ended up changing and changing some of it in a way they did not anticipate.
Mhm.
So it's another interesting story from the Olympics. It's another thing. It's a big
Yeah.
first.
I don't, it's interesting it didn't get a ton of attention. But
Yeah,
I think because it was born assigned
exactly.
female at birth, transitioned to male to man
Mhm.
in their life, but
But
then
no,
competed as assigned at birth. Nikki Hiltz is an athlete like that. They're
yeah.
non-binary trans.
Mhm.
Um, they compete in the women's division because they were assigned female at birth. They're crazy fast, like still probably not fast enough. I don't believe they do it. I know they don't do any hormone therapy. I don't believe they do.
Mhm.
I
Um,
bet she gets tested weekly.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
But she has
Yeah.
stated that she won't start anything until after she's done her
Yeah,
career.
when they're yeah, I think they use the pronoun they. So we just have to be respectful of that. It's hard. I try so hard to be respectful of it and I slip all the time.
Thank you.
It's a
Yeah,
different
like
way for your
yeah.
brain to use language, right?
Mhm.
But and they had a social media post. That's where I started to learn the difference of like and I you don't have to agree with how they did this, but it was really helpful for me to understand the language of it where they talked about male, female being gender assigned at birth,
And being sex.
woman, man being our societal
Yeah.
norms of how we've categorized, and then they describe like trans and how that's you're transitioning between one or the other. But then why they're non-binary. So they're a trans non-binary female. I think if I layered those labels correctly. It was just really interesting to me, and I'm really trying because especially as I work in sport now more. Um, but yeah, there's an example where they have, elected to live their life a certain way, but by sport, they're going to compete
Um,
within the category that they were assigned at birth.
and I believe
And then
there was a non-binary soccer player, high-level soccer player on the U.S. team as well, who was recently retired, who was non-binary, and essentially the same idea.
yeah, so it's interesting. It opens up such a world of things for sport. And maybe at some point we change the classifications. As you're saying, there was open. Men's used to be open.
Yeah.
Maybe we have male, female, or men's, women's, and then an open category for otherwise. Like, again, we created sport. We can make
Yeah.
sport how we want it. It's
Mhm.
man-made. So,
And I mean, in some sports they do that. In strongman, there is an open category where,
interesting.
yeah. Um, so it's kind of where if you don't belong in the male or female category, you compete in open. So some sports are adopting it.
Yeah. And I noticed like even like signing up for races, they now have like you can identify in your race which category you're in. They have the non-binary options. So
How do you
again,
feel then about a non-binary getting prize money?
Um, I think if they want to create separate purses, um, I think that's fair. That's fine. Because like it used to be, and it's like still within my lifetime where I would go to road races and it'd be prize money for men and not for women. Like it was top three overall. They didn't, and so unless you beat the dudes, you didn't get prize money. So I think if they would, as long as they rec acknowledge each category and the prize money is equal across each category, that's fine. But if it's going to be like, yeah, it would have to be top five men, top five women, top five non-binary, etc. But if they tried to like commingle it, and it then I think that's where you end up with problems. We're back to the 80s where only men could win prize money in races anyways, because it was overall prize money. There's still some of those that kick around. I'm like, this is so weird.
So weird. But then shouldn't there be two categories of non-binary? Like, shouldn't there be non-binary first, like born, like non-binary where you were
I,
born a male, non-binary you were born a female?
I don't know. I think then you would have to deal with it if you're going to do transgender male, transgender female. I think, and then non-binary would be separate. I think, yeah, a non-binary though, from my understanding, is that you don't ad adhere to societal classifications of man, woman. That's what makes you non-binary. The trans female, trans male is dealing with the sex assigned at birth. So I think then, yeah, we'd have four. You either would not, yeah, I don't know. And then maybe you end up with five categories. I don't know.
I
Because
think
like I see what you're asking, because if you're non-binary, but that my understanding is that means you're dealing with societal assignments, not gender or sex at birth assignments.
Right. But then when we're talking about prize money, like
Yeah.
with big marathons, and there's a decent amount of prize money. So
Mhm.
then let's say at the New York Marathon and they offer prize money to the top three non-binary. It's the top three non-binary born males. There's
Probably.
females in that. It is. So
Yeah.
then is it so then maybe if there was the top three non-binary born females, it would kind of balance it out a little bit.
Yeah, but again, I think the non-binary deals more with how they identify, not with like you could be trans female and it's you don't even touch on the binary of it. Does that make sense? Like, so I think we'd end up with five or seven. I don't
Six
know. I'm losing.
categories.
Yeah, there'd be multiple categories,
so
but
what if
again,
you
as long as the prize money is across the board fair, then I don't see why you close down any prize money to anybody. You just shouldn't have to commingle it with one group for over another.
what if you did this? You have your male category, you have your female category, right? Just as normal. Anyone who is, say, a trans man or non-binary, which means born as a female, has not taken therapy, right? So testosterone, whatever the case may be, to enhance to become more man-like, then is fair to compete in the women's division because basically you're female from birth. You've not taken anything
So
to
like the skier.
like the skier situation.
Yeah.
They're fine to compete in the women's division. Then you have what we'd call, I don't know, a spectrum division, where quite frankly, that's where you would have your trans women would be free to compete in that division, and anybody else who wants to, who is not male, biological male. So basically, you two could run in that division if you wanted as well. But you would also still have the regular female division to run it.
Yeah, I think you'd have to like I don't know. Because then we're also getting into like the Caster Semenya's issue where like they weren't transitioning, they weren't doing anything, they it's just how their body was.
Mhm.
Right.
So that's a whole I don't even like
That's a
I get
very difficult one. I actually
yeah,
think the other stuff is
Complicated.
quite simplistic compared to that.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's but again, that's like we can, however many categories we want to make, we can make them because that's sport, baby.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We can decide
But they
like
ain't all
it's
getting money. There's just not enough money to go around, right?
Right.
no, and that's the
And
thing. Like it would,
yeah.
everyone's purses would be less. Everyone's
Yeah.
purses would be smaller because
Mm.
they're not going to create more money. They're just going to reduce each purse, which as long as it's across the board, that's fine.
Mhm.
I'm not winning prize money anymore anyways, so
It's not about me, so it don't matter.
No,
Well,
no,
an
but like I
Olympic
do.
No,
sport
no, no, I'm teasing.
is very defined, and I mean, like you said, it's a privilege. So they can keep their parameters what they are because, Olympics
And they will.
is the Olympics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, it was just an interesting thing that happened at the Olympics.
Yeah, I didn't hear about that, so that's interesting.
No, I was curious what which part of skiing it was because
If you guys talk for a bit, I will figure it out.
oh no, I pulled it up right here, just a quick
Oh, do you got it?
Google.
Okay.
Um, yeah, his this athletes they're stated their focus on skiing rather than historical significance of their presence, telling reporters he felt he was there on the same conditions as everyone else. So yeah, and it looks like it was Mogul's event. Yeah,
There you
Yeah.
go.
so
From what
but it's just
country?
Sweden.
Sweden.
Hmm.
Yeah. So interesting stuff. Curling.
Sweden.
Sweden. Sweden.
Transitioning to curling.
Transitioning to curling.
Dude.
Speaking of,
I'm doing really good at the transitions here. I've been working hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who wants to lay this one out?
well, I learned a lot today.
Well, yeah, you didn't know because when Beth says I want to talk about this, 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 and this, I said, "What about curling drama?" She's like, "What are you talking about?"
How did you not know? That's been like I got so many
It's
DMs from my American
it's
friends.
all I can. It's all I
And
see.
like the memes of like all the like historic like artwork where it's just like the
Yeah.
I'm dead.
I don't know.
Dead.
I don't know. I've been stuck in this
All right.
rabbit hole of other things. So
I I want Beth first to talk to tell about your client or your friend,
so
and then I want to tell you how Beth referred to her.
I know. So I have a client who I'm like, I think she's done some pretty cool things, but I don't know to the extent because I find sometimes people are quite humble. And this woman is very humble. And right now I train her daughter, who's a high level soccer player. But I was like, I know she was at the Olympic trials. And I think she's won some national championships. And now I know she makes curling rocks for like
Not curling balls.
ball. Well, did I say balls?
You did, you did. That I think my client makes the curling balls.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
I
like the
think
whole
there's
world or something.
stones. There's stones.
Yeah, the Stones.
Yeah.
Um, and she coaches some international teams. So anyways, she's kind of a big deal. So when I asked her, I was like, hey, like if I introduce you, like describe to me what you've done. And she just sends me a Wikipedia link. So I'm like,
Oh,
oh.
sick.
I'm like, okay. So anyways, she's been a national champion in doubles mixed doubles curling multiple years. She was at the Olympic trials before COVID shut that one down. So anyway, she's kind of a big deal in the curling world. And now she coaches and she makes curling rocks. So anyways, I asked her to kind of lay it out for me what was going on in the curling world and the controversy around that. Because again, I don't really understand curling. And curling to me has been one of the sports that was so fascinating because if you know much about curling history, curling was the original gentleman's sport in Canada. It was the first clubs that ever existed in Canada where the wealthy went and they curled. So there's a lot of history with curling, and that's kind of where my understanding of the sport ends. And so what happened with curling was there was a Canada versus Sweden match, and the Sweden team called out Canada for touching the granite part of the rock after release. So their finger touched the granite part. So you're only supposed to have the handle. And then after the hog line, which I learned what a hog line was, you're not supposed to touch the granite with your finger. So there is video of the Canadian team touching it with their finger. Um, and then they protested it. And then Canada's rocks were called back. And anyways, there was all this stuff that went on with it. So I was like, I don't really understand what's going on here. So I learned a lot about curling. And it's very interesting to me because she said too, curling has been a sport where it's been such a gentleman's sport that they don't even in a lot of their matches have judges and refs because it's so based on integrity and sportsmanship. And they've never even used video review because again, the ethos of the sport is sportsmanship first. So Sweden set up cameras because it seems to me like they knew Canada did this, maybe a bad habit, and they were planning ahead to kind of catch them doing this finger thing with the
Yeah.
granite, which is my understanding. So, anyways, what she said was there's a rule in curling that you're not allowed to touch the granite portion of the stone during the forward motion of the delivery. So that's a rule. If you touch the granite, you're breaking that rule. What goes along with that rule in the section of the rule book is that the stone needs to be delivered by the handle. So what I think is important for the non-curling viewer to know is that touching the granite in your delivery motion holds no advantage to no curler. So to try to break the rule on purpose to gain an advantage over their opposition doesn't make sense. She said, honestly, in the 39 years I've played the sport, I have never heard of anyone calling out another player for that infraction. So
So
what you think is like the finger touching the granite gives you zero
Doesn't
advantage.
it
no,
doesn't change the yeah, it doesn't change the trajectory. You're not steering it. It's not any part of it. It's not an extra push. Like you're not
No,
doing anything.
it's
no,
literally like a twitch. Like,
it might even make things worse for you.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like
So she said,
just to lay it out for some people, because I have done curling when I was younger.
hmm,
I can't remember the exact length it is from the hack to the house, right? But let's say it's like 60 feet.
hmm,
You're sliding a stone from 60 feet away and you're letting go of the handle softly. You're turning it in one direction. And then immediately after, you're going to poke it with your finger for some advantage. It makes no sense at
yeah,
all. There's
yeah,
no reason to do that. It's like you just spent all your time trying to put this perfect spin on it, and then you're going to touch it with your finger.
yeah.
It's completely illogical.
So then she said, what's more interesting to me is that it sounds like Sweden had planned this by having a Sweden cameraman in the stands,
Yeah.
which is against IOC rules, to videotape Mark's delivery in an effort to kick up shit, which is exactly what happened. She said, I know Mark Kennedy. He's literally my favorite curler, and I can tell you there is no way he would cheat. It's all been crazy. And she said her phone is blowing up. So, um, yeah, so then she kind of goes on to describe curling again as like the gentleman's game. And she said there's things that are normalized in sport. And we've talked a lot about like hockey, things that are
Mhm.
normalized. Like fighting is normalized, like coaches yelling at the refs is kind of it's normalized. And she said this is not normal in curling. Like the culture of curling is like ultimate respect and sportsmanship first. So like to have people kind of baiting each other or like planning each other's demise is so against the culture of the sport. So it's really thrown a lot of people within the community. And so after this happened too, because I think they did use video review to make a call in this case, now they're saying there's no more video review. And they had officials at the hog line and they're like, none of that. We're going to go back to the way it was. Like the judges are calling it integrity first, and that's how it is going to be moving forward with the rest of the
So
Olympics.
my understanding, and maybe I'm wrong, and Lanny, since you've heard more about it too, you can correct me if I'm wrong, or Beth. I was under the impression that in the men's curling match, Sweden accused them. They had this video, but they didn't remove Canada's stones because
No.
Hmm.
the thing is, video replay in curling is not a thing.
Yeah. It
That's
didn't
not
affect
it.
the men's. It
Yeah.
affected one of the other
So
matches.
yes,
The
later in
women,
the women's, the Canadian
the women,
women's,
yeah.
one of the judges called the Canadian woman for doing the same thing, but it was straight from the judge, not from a video. And then they did have a video on the side, and it was a little less um definitive, but still you could possibility. And Canada was obviously objecting, and the guy's like, "Hey, we don't have video review from that. That's the judge's call, so I got to stand by it." And I actually respect that. I mean, that's the judge doing the judge's job, whatever.
Mhm.
But clearly, yeah, they were hunting. They were hunting for it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so and then the women's stone that was thrown there did get removed and brought into play and did have an effect on the match.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think that game happened before the men's one, didn't it? I
No,
think
it was after. It was after.
was it after? Oh,
I'm almost positive.
yeah, that I don't know. I wasn't certain on, but no, and like that's the thing, like Bethany, like what your friend said, like it is this gentleman's game, but it's also a drunkard's game. Like it's like the
Yeah.
players are known to be drunk. So I also just appreciated those were the most polite F-bombs that
Mhm.
I've seen. And like
I know.
he got a warning for dropping his F-bombs, but at the end of the day, the only reason why they're mic'd up is because nobody fucking cares about curling, and the reason why they're mic'd up is to try and create an audience and have people. Had he not been mic'd up, you wouldn't have caught the F-bombs. So like, it's kind of like,
So maybe
Who
it's all
but
a
I
conspiracy to add viewership to curling.
probably there needed
nailed it?
something going on there.
I mean, now I'm gonna watch the finals.
Yeah, because like
Who
it
who
is
had on their
like
bingo
it's
card a curling fight between Sweden and Canada?
right. They're like the two most polite nations too. Like the
I know.
Swedes are known to just be like, it's
Yeah.
because of hockey. It's like we're just building up the pent angst for like the hockey matches that like
Mm.
we got to get to each other's throats in curling, I guess. I don't know.
It would have been better if they had like severe accents too, like the Swedes were like, "You touched the stone," and the Canadians were like, "Oh,
Yeah.
sorry there, bud." And just it
Yeah.
would have been way more fun if that was the thing. It would have been, yeah.
Oh man. Well,
Oh,
and
I
like there
saw.
was like the Swedes were doing something else though. Because that's what when Mark starts cussing, he's like, get out of what like they were
They
doing
were. He said they were
something.
like dancing around the house or whatever.
Yeah, they were like they were in the field of play or they were
Yeah.
moving things like so no one's really following the rules. So yeah, they came in, the Swedes though came in like armed and ready,
Mhm.
but to break, and that's going back to the skeleton thing with Katie Ulander, like what Canada did pulling those athletes out was by the rules. What Sweden did to try and catch Canada here was in
Mhm.
violation of the rules. And so
Mhm.
like it gets very murky when you start playing with those things.
Uh-huh.
Curling's awesome.
And the memes that are coming out from this are killing me. They are
Ice
Yeah.
so
darts.
funny.
Yeah. It's hey, this is with Olympics or with curling, much like the sledding sports. This is the Olympics. This is when they shine. This is their moment,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and anything that gets them talked about. I think Bethany's right. I think it's a giant conspiracy. I think that it was all done intentional.
You get more attention on it. I
Mhm.
mean, kudos.
All right,
Um,
what else you got from the Olympics, Beth?
well, I mean, right before this, I was watching women's freestyle big air and like having a bit of a tear fest because we had our Canadian girl win gold. And I get so they're so young too. And man, this sport blows my mind. They're like sending themselves backwards off of giant ramps and like shooting themselves into the air and doing flips and just like, oh man. And I mean, the bronze medalist was 18 years old. The oldest, our Canadian, 24 years old. So these are like children just launching themselves off ramps, but it's so impressive. And yeah, our Canadian girl, Megan Oldman, won gold and to follow up a great Olympics for her because she's already won bronze at another skiing event. So it was really exciting to see. So that was our second gold medal for Canada today.
Nice. Yeah, I didn't catch that.
For me, I was excited to watch. I think it was the silver medal in border cross because I think that border cross and ski cross are two of the coolest sports in the Olympics. I just
Mhm.
love them. They're fantastic. Four people all go at once. Off you go. First one across the line wins. I mean, it's the epitome of racing. I think it's great.
Yeah.
And so that was cool to see. And I love just seeing at the end and they all like flip the tips of the boards up just to get every last centimeter they can. It's
Mhm.
like the diving with the chest at the end of the sprint. It's
Mhm.
such a fantastic one to watch. So exciting. So that's been the best part for me so far. And of course, hockey's not over yet. So
Yeah.
Nope. And we're gonna have both teams probably in the finals. So
tough skating against the US women though. That's a tough one.
we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Lanny, what do you think about Lindsey Vonn competing in the skiing event? Like we've seen now, her injury is is really dramatic. She did shatter her lower leg. She's had multiple surgeries. She's going to need more. There's talk of her never walking again. Um, it's been pretty bad. And I mean, there was a
Yeah.
lot of criticism about her racing in the first place without an ACL. And it's very interesting because so today when I watch the women's freestyle big air, the woman who finished third also did not have an ACL. So she blew her ACL in November, so not that long ago. And she stood on the podium. No one was like, "Oh, she should not be racing." But Lindsey
Yeah.
Vonn, as a 41-year-old, blew her ACL 8, 10 weeks ago, and there was so much criticism around it. And I understand too, age is a factor um and then because Lindsay crashed, now we're blaming the injury and such. So, and then the crash is so bad. So people are kind of, blaming why did she have to do this? And, was it worth it? And I mean, this injury could have happened anyways, regardless
Yeah.
if she ACL intact
It,
or not.
Beth
yeah.
Beth just thinks she should have been home in the kitchen cooking and cleaning.
No,
Oh yeah,
like, and
that's totally
there's
what I think.
there's other athletes, like even the one that medaled, I didn't realize that they you compete without an ACL before. Like that's fine. I think, yeah, her age is why she got more scrutiny on it. I think it was, really unfortunate. Like the comeback story was there, right? It was like, and was she
Yeah.
gonna medal? Who knows? But like just that she got herself back ready, able to compete. I think also I'm not certain the age of the bronze medalist you're saying, but
She's
you also
18.
look, yeah, younger, so rehab, but also if she tore hers further back, she had more time to stabilize and train her body to be prepped for it, versus Lindsay's was kind of happened and then she had to be at the games. So even if you make all things equal with their ages, the other athlete had way more time to prep and strengthen and just be prepared to ski, with that underlying injury. Lindsay came out in her posts after, that like she doesn't believe the knee had anything to do with the crash and like she would do it again. Like there's, like, and that's the risk of that sport, and that's the risk of any of those athletes lining up and doing it is you can play the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. You can blame it on the injury. I think maybe cognitively or a little bit of her body awareness might have been a bit shifted because of the injury, and maybe that does contribute to it. But that crash very well could have happened even if she hadn't wrecked her knee. And it is a brutal crash. Like I think she's still like just fully in bed in the hospital. Like
Yeah.
people are washing her hair for her. She's got pins in her leg. Um, but I think if you were to ask her, it was worth it. I think that was like she knew the risks going in. Sometimes you have to wonder, like, you know, how much could her team have talked her out of it, or should have they have talked her out of it? But it's your rights as an athlete to, or as a human, to decide what you're going to put yourself through. Um, yeah, it just sucks because like it would have been such a cool story, whether she medaled or not, that she just got to like, finish the story. But I don't think it's right or fair to critique her when, yeah, even though that athlete's 18, but that athlete just won a medal with a
Mhm.
similar injury. So I don't think you can critique her for the decision that she made. Um, it
Right.
just
If she won
sucks.
a medal, no one would be talking about it.
Yeah, if she won a medal, it'd be like, it would be it'd be a plus, it'd be like this
Yeah.
bonus. Even if she didn't medal, the knee was gonna factor in. And so she
Mhm.
finished dead last. So be like, yeah, well, like my question is like, as long as she wasn't taking the spot from another athlete, was there another athlete qualified that could have been there, but for Lindsay keeping her spot? That would be the only part to look at. But
Mhm.
again, like we've already talked about team selections and stuff, like they are what they are.
Yeah,
Um,
and my understanding is that she had the points that she needed based on where she competed and such. Like we talked about with the qualification process, that she wasn't taking a spot from someone. So
no.
it is what it is.
Yeah, it is. It just, it's the comeback, the road to recovery for just even a human life for her is going to be long and hard. But
But it was
I
her
mean,
call.
yeah, and that's any sport. Like there's hockey players that line up knowing that like one more concussion could be the end of them, and they make the decision to go play anyways. Like it's sport. Bethany and I, we've lined up with enough broken bones, or oh, what, like one more step and that shin's gonna shatter, and we're like, bet, let's go.
Yeah.
Like, but I got a race, so
Yeah.
And we talked about this last week, and I think a lot of criticisms come from people who are not athletes and don't understand sport and don't understand what the athletes put into this and what it means to them.
Mhm.
And I think they just can't comprehend why you would risk it. Whereas you guys completely understand why you would
oh
risk it.
yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
uh, I got one for you here. All right. Dutch speed skater. Um, Junta Liederman or Leerdam. Anyway, really good speed skater. She won gold in the 1,000 meter. She's getting a ton of flack because she did not go to the opening ceremony. She posted like an Instagram story from her hotel room, and all her teammates went. And immediately after winning, she flew back home on a private jet because her fiance is Jake Paul, who's mega wealthy. And so anyway, she's getting a lot of backlash and a lot of stuff like that. Does it matter? Would you care if you were a teammate, anything like that? Because quite frankly, like for me, if I was there and that was my teammate, I'd be like, fucking bastard. But good for you. Because
Canada doesn't even let us. So for 2016, I wasn't allowed to walk in the opening ceremonies even if I wanted to, because track and field's the second week. Canada didn't even fly us over until the second week of competition. So you're not even like a lot of countries forego the opening ceremonies. It's a long process. It's tiring. It's gruesome. And then at the Rio Olympics, Diane Nakuri, interesting enough, runs for Burundi, but she had Canadian refugee status. So I raced her my
We used
entire
to race her
career.
in the Canadian circuit all the time, like growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I grew up racing her. So she raced the 10,000 meters in Rio. So she walked in the opening ceremonies. She's been to the Olympics multiple times. She went as a 16-year-old girl to the Sydney Olympics. She ran the 5,000 there. And then she ran the marathon, I believe, at the London Olympics. And then she did the 10,000 at the Rio Olympics. So she did the opening ceremonies for Burundi. So she got to do that. She raced the 10,000 meters and then left that same day to come back to the US because she was doing a road race that weekend, and nobody got mad at her for that.
Mhm.
So she set like a Burundi record and then was like, deuces, I'm going to go back and keep racing.
Win some
So
money.
yeah. So like
so
other athletes do it. I think you're just with this athlete, you're dealing with the Jake Paul effect. You're just dealing
yeah,
with like
Yeah.
she's gonna get more attention because of who she's engaged to. Not like other athletes forego opening ceremonies. Other athletes leave as soon as they're done competition. I believe at the Paris Olympics, the Canadian team, you had to leave the village as soon as you were done competing anyways. Like you had to pay your own dollar to stay.
yeah.
So like it's not abnormal to leave once you're done competing.
Hmm.
So here's the thing I look at it is I think you're right. It's absolutely a big Jake Paul effect because I mean, if you don't know who Jake Paul is, he is possibly one of the most annoying and hated people on the planet. Um,
Infamous.
at the same time, doesn't really do anything horrible. It's not like he's out killing babies. He's just an internet douchebag, right?
Hmm.
And so there's that effect, and there's the fact that like she comes across as very privileged, and nobody likes somebody who's too privileged. We want the underdogs. We want the people who have, scratched and clawed and bit. So I think she gets flack for that. And honestly, I'm more like you. I'm like, hey, you know what? She went there and she won because she's fucking fast.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
mean, don't let their lifestyle or whatever that take away from their athletic
Yeah,
ability, though.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like
I
so.
mean, Alicia Newman, her pole vaulter from Canada, flies on private jets. So
Yeah.
she still won a bronze medal at our
And
last
if
Olympics.
anything, I was
She's
like,
also, this is the girl that's really pretty, right? This is
yeah,
the
she's
really,
quite pretty.
Yeah.
so
She's the
she's
one
just,
on that you always see her on that Instagram meme where it says losing to this girl twice at once, where she
yeah.
wins the race and then unzips her suit and the other girl's like zips hers right back up.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just again like the media is going to skew it anyway. Like she's an open target
Yeah.
because of her looks, because of who she's dating, but the decisions she made and like fine, like flying on a private jet versus like I doubt Diane flew on a private jet after the Rio Olympics, but like you're you're gonna always find like you can find plenty of reasons to hate on her, fine, but the decisions she made are not outside the rules of play and they're not abnormal for what Olympic athletes do. There's probably dozens of them that didn't walk in opening ceremonies, won't do closing ceremonies, and pieced out as soon as they were done competing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I look at it too as if anything, if I'm like the head of, I don't know, speed skating in Holland, I'm like, hey, you think Jake can fire a little cash for the rest of the team here? Like,
Yeah,
dude's
like
got some money. Because isn't it Flavor Flav sponsored like the women's water polo team or something?
yeah, water polo, and he's sponsoring Skeleton, the women's squad
Yeah.
set in Skeleton this year. Because,
Talk
like,
about the
yeah,
world's most unlikely hero. If
right. I know. I love me some Flavor Flav though. Flavor Flav.
I was on those
I want
teams,
to
I'd
do
be
for
walking
Halloween
around with
one
a
year.
big clock.
Big cock.
That's
No.
awesome. All right.
Mm.
Anything else from the Olympics for you guys you wanted to talk about?
Not this Olympics, but I do want to ask Lanny what she feels about. So there's the enhanced games coming up this
Crazy.
July 2026 in Vegas. And I've been watching a lot of athletes continuing to be released as to who's competing, and I'm I'm super fascinated by it. And we just saw our Canadian Mitch Hooper is going to be competing in
Deadlift.
strongman, I suppose, trying to set a world record in deadlift. And I mean, we already know they're enhanced, but it's just so fascinating to me, the names and stuff that are coming out. So, and the enhanced games are a very short list of events that are even competing. And I don't know how much you know about them, but I'm just kind of curious your initial take on how you feel about the enhanced games even happening in the first place.
I mean, they kind of technically are always happening. Who's
Right.
already cheating? No, I think like it's there's not going to be a single athlete that competes there and is going to be able to come back to traditional competition without a stink on them,
Well, they
unfortunately.
can't.
And like they
Yeah.
can't like
Well, Mitch
and like I
can
know
because his
there was
sport doesn't give a shit.
yeah, there's a top American sprinter who's elected to do the enhanced games because he's just going to make boatloads of money. But like
Fred
he was
Kerr.
actually pretty good on the pro circuit. I think he went to the Olympics last year, was close
Yeah, you
to
did.
it.
Yeah.
So it just also shows like the state of sport where like some people are going to make tough decisions because they want to pay their bills or get the notoriety, make money. And at the end of the day, like if you really just are so friggin' sick of lining up against dirty athletes anyways, at least go to the pool where you know it's being peed in. Stop telling yourself that you're in a pool clean of pee. Like there's pee in every pool. So just go into the one that's actively being pissed in.
Yeah.
I like
I'm
Mhm.
I
never
can
going
see the
swimming
I
with
see the
Lanny.
burnout. Pardon?
I'm never going swimming with Lanny.
But like it's just like you see the burnout, so I get it. I wouldn't participate in them. It's not, I always want to see what my body's capable of doing just as my body alone. Have I raced and would my outcomes have been different had there been, athletes that I was competing against not there because they weren't clean? Yeah, absolutely. Like, has it affected prize money and outcomes and team selections on my end? Yeah, but I still wouldn't. I have no, that doesn't appeal to me. I don't even know if it appeals to me to watch it. Like, I just don't really know if I want to watch, what drugs can do to people. Maybe again, it's because I'm already seeing what the drugs
I mean, you do watch the
in
world
the
majors
everyday
marathon.
competition, but
Yeah.
it's not, yeah, like you already see it. So I don't really need if I don't know if I need to like sit there and watch it. Like good on them. And I get the draw to like want to make money. And I know I think if anything, go the opposite route. And like how everybody says at the Olympics, we should have one normal person in each event competing against the athletes so we can see what it looks like. I think let's do that. Like let's put our money behind that. That'd be sick. Like you get all
Mhm.
the Olympic gear and you're like, oh, what'd you do? You're like, I was
The
the
normal
average
guy.
Joe. Yeah, I was the average Joe. I was team average Joe. And I just got to go and compete against the world's best.
I thought we had that with Eddie the Eagle.
Right? But exactly, let's make it like for real. Let's make it legit. Like that
Mhm.
swimmer that got to compete years and years ago at the Olympics,
Oh,
but
he
he
could
never
barely
actually
swim.
swam. Yeah. Like, but like let's just put your average Joe in there. But yeah, the enhanced games is an interesting concept. I'm not for it, but I can understand the draw or why some athletes would elect to do it, especially if they're from a sport that's already notoriously dirty. Just go make money.
I'm
Yes.
I'm kind of excited about it, but then again, I'm
Mm.
50, so I'm thinking of taking drugs to go upstairs,
Yeah.
you know. So
So I've been following a Canadian athlete that was announced and his Bodhi Santavi, and he's an Olympic lifter, and he has said that kind of what you were saying, he's competed his whole career against people who are doing it anyways. So, and he's like, I've always been clean. So he's like, now I get to actually show the world like my true potential enhanced like everybody I'm competing against anyways. So and I empathize with him because he's obviously just been so frustrated by what he sees going on in his sport that he's like, well, if everyone I'm competing against is doing it anyways, then just give me the freedom to compete on the same playing field. So I
Yeah,
do
level
that.
the playing field.
Yeah, exactly. And again, with the enhanced games, they are giving them a living wage and they're giving them the opportunity to make really good money if they do set world records. So I totally understand it. And we've talked about the enhanced games. They're doing it within health parameters. They are monitoring all the athletes and they're making sure that they're not doing anything extreme. They're making sure all of their organs are functioning fine with whatever they're doing. It's not like they're just getting totally juiced up and becoming complete. They're not pushing the boundaries of the health limits as far as that's concerned. They're just, more from my understanding, it's from a recovery aspect. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It makes it safe. Like there is an element there that makes it safer than how doping's going on anyways, because like people aren't monitoring their health while they dope. So it does add like that level of it that they're not, it's kind of like,
Well, if you
yeah,
don't
like
have
how
to
you
hide
have.
it, if you don't have
Yeah,
to
if you don't
hide it,
find it, like it's
you
kind of
can
like
be
methadone
healthier about it.
clinics. It's kind of like methadone clinics that got created. It's like, abortions getting regulated so that you're not getting backdoor abortion type things. Like it creates it safer and you're not hiding it. So
Mhm.
then you can be, if you're open and notorious with it, there's eyes on it and more safety parameters. But yeah, like it's a sad reflection of sport that athletes are thinking that this is a way for them to make money and do it because it's so hard to make a living in sport.
Mhm. So, how many Kenyans do you think would sign up for it if they put the marathon in it?
Oh gosh, all of them? No.
All of
I shouldn't say that. I have
them?
some like really good friends that are Kenyan athletes. I do believe there are a lot of clean Kenyans, but there's a lot that aren't. That I think, yeah, if they put the marathon in there, it wouldn't just be the Kenyans you would be seeing.
Mhm.
There'd be there'd be a lot from other countries too. I can say that with confidence.
So at
Unfortunately.
what point does the IAAF need to step in with what's going on with the amount of East Africans that are on the banned list right now?
Yeah, we saw with Russia, like Russia's been banned and they're like not, they have to compete under certain parameters. Like it's hard because like I train in Kenya. Kenya's so close to my heart that I hate to say it, but I think like an actual ban, a straight across ban, and athletes have to prove they're clean and have been clean and stay clean to compete, I think is the only way. But like I said, like it's ignorant to think it's just Kenya or Ethiopia. Like it's not just the East Africans. There's like athletes that are known that are from Australia, from the UK, from other places that are just like we know you're not clean. And then
Mm,
there's like that whole line of they're not as like I learned this recently. This wasn't something that I ever even wouldn't have crossed my mind. That a lot of athletes will monitor what WADA is stating they're investigating as a drug to ban, and a lot of the athletes will get on the drugs and take them until they are banned. So like they'll like monitor what's coming down the pike and take them until they actually do end up banned. Because like that's basically a list of telling you what's going to enhance you, but it's not illegal yet. And I was like, I would never, my brain doesn't go there. I would never have thought of that. That's such
mm,
a backwards way of doing it, but technically it's within the rules. Technically it's legal, it's allowable. So yeah, like I think for the East Africans, it's rampant now. Like every other day, I feel like some
yeah,
big names being popped. I know for the 2016 Olympics, I think in the 10,000 and the marathon, I think I've like if we took out everyone who's since been popped for doping, I think I move up like 7 or 10 places in each
Hey,
each event.
congrats.
Like, yeah, right? Like by the end of it all, I'll be a medalist. Like it's
Mhm.
like I know the gold and silver medalists from Rio Marathon. I believe both. I know the gold, maybe the silver as well. Both have been popped subsequently for doping. And like you don't dope after you have an
Right.
Olympic gold.
No.
I don't think. So they were able to keep it clean or test clean. And that's the thing, like the testing is the problem. And we're seeing like Alicia Shea serving a provisional ban for missing her tests. And it's the game of it all. It's not even about are they clean, it's just like how well can they navigate the system. And so a bunch of those athletes, a ton of them in the marathon from Rio have all been popped, and it affects that. Had I been able to say I was top 15 or top 10 at the Olympics, you don't think that would have changed the trajectory of my
Mm.
funding my stuff, but you look at it that way. It's like everyone knows the medalists lose out. Like if you're fourth and then you find out somebody cheated and you would have been on the podium, we all know those people lose out on money, but it affects all of us down.
Yeah.
Anyone who's kind of in that like top 30 of the race, we're all affected by it. And then there's still an ongoing lawsuit now for the 1500-meter final in London Olympics, because like I think 10 of those 12 women have all been popped at this point. So there's like
Oh,
an active lawsuit going through CAS because of that. So like I get the mindset of the enhanced game. If you can't beat them, join them. But then I feel my fear is nobody's going to bother to actually clean up real sport.
Mm.
We're just going to leave it as it is.
I mean, we go back to the, most famous pop of all, right? And Ben Johnson, and it turns out
Yeah.
everybody in that race was dirty.
Yeah, he just mistimed his meds.
Yeah, yeah.
mhm.
Did you see
Well,
he tried to like turn it into something and there was like an energy drink that he was the
yeah, I
ad for and
cheetah.
it was
It was a
a
cheetah
cheetah.
energy drink.
It was a
Yeah, yeah.
cheetah.
In fairness, too, I think he was taking everybody's steroids.
Yeah,
Like not just some. He was taking all of them,
all
everything
of
and
them.
everything. The
They
horse
all
stuff,
were.
everything. That man looked like, oh my God, he looked like a bodybuilder.
Mhm.
I was actually worried
Insane.
the starting blocks would be torn out of the ground when he would take off. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, that was some good
no.
drugs.
Oh,
All right. Anything else, Beth? Or what's Lanny got coming up?
I'm gonna do High Rocks or whatever with Beth in May. Um,
I signed her
so
up
yeah.
without asking her.
Which is the
Well,
way
it
to
said
do it. That's the way to
so
do
I
it.
was
I
wanting to do
yeah.
the one that was here like I'm in Arizona right now. Don't judge me. But I wanted to do the one that was here a few weeks ago, but it was the same, like I was in the middle of those sports arbitrations and like coming off of a hamstring little niggle from my last marathon build that I was just like, I can't like I can't do the training I want to do for it. And then I also don't think I can ask the arbitrator to like move the arbitration date so I can go do high rocks. I was like, no. So yeah, so Bethany knows I want to do it. So we're gonna do that one in May. Outside of that, I am, knock on wood, getting very fit running again, and it's been fun. Um, this summer was my highest mileage I've been able to hit in running since training for Rio. So like 9, 10 years out. I was able to hit some 100-mile weeks and just I haven't been able to see it in a race yet. My hamstring blew on me, but so yeah, for this upcoming season, do high rocks with Bethany and then focus on some 10K and half marathons and just see if I can run fast again. I don't know if that means running as fast as I once was, but I think I can run faster than I've been doing the last couple of years anyways. So I'm excited for it. It's just fun. It's different.
Awesome. Beth, you got
Yeah.
anything?
No, I do not. But yeah, Lanny, we've taken enough time. So I appreciate you coming on. We had a lot to talk about with Olympic stuff, and I knew you would offer a lot of valuable insight into it just from your
Yeah, of
background.
course.
So yeah, we appreciate you coming on. So um, yeah, we hope you enjoyed having
Yeah, it
a,
was fun. Good
a
banter.
bit. It's been a minute. Yeah.
And just two things to say. One, next week we'll probably get a little back to normally what we do, what we normally talk about. And two, with all this controversy, all the drama, all the stuff we see at the Olympics, sometimes I think we need to go back to our sport and maybe give ourselves a little bit of a break at the controversies that we have because clearly these sports have been going on for decades, in some case hundreds of years,
Yeah.
and they're still trying to get it fucking worked out. So yeah,
Right. They're still judging controversy.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Still judging controversy in curling. And if we have a little bit in ours, that's okay. It's all
Yeah.
right. That's perfectly normal. That's sports. That's what makes it fun to talk about.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Laney, thank you very much. Everybody,
Of course.
take care.
Bye.